Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. Good morning. You're welcome to Up You with EZINNE, your female centric program. Welcome, welcome, everybody. Good morning. It's another exciting episode. Good morning. So, today we are going to continue with our tradition of diving deep into topics that matter. How are you all doing? Everyone, how you doing? This is April, so it's a new month and it's a new quarter. How are you all doing? Our theme for the month of April is Look Up. Look up is a call to action to raise one's gaze, both literally and metaphorically, to seek opportunities beyond one's current circumstances. It's about being proactive in seeking our new possibilities, whether it's in personal growth, career advancement, or relationships. It is knowing that if you do not fix your gaze higher than your circumstances, you may not see this solution staring you in the face. This month, I invite all of you to join me as we look up for possibilities, solutions, a hope, and a future. It's Up You with EZINNE, and I'm here to keep you company as usual. So let's do this, my beautiful people. Finding self, finding purpose. My name is EZINNE, and I'm your host. Yes, yes, yes. As always, I'm thrilled to have you join us on today's episode, where we delve into the heart of Nigerian education. Our topic is Look Up, Find Inspiration and Motivation in Nigerian Education. Education isn't just about learning facts, it's about unleashing the potential in every child. Every society is a reflection of its education ideologies. Thus, if you want to sustainably transform a nation, you do so through education. And it's on this premise that we are diving deep into this episode on a journey through the dynamic landscape of Nigerian education. Join us as we explore ways to reform the education system, keeping Nigerian children at home for schooling while attracting international students. Despite challenges, let's discover the beauty and power of education together. Get ready to be inspired. Be kind to follow us on all our social media platforms at Up You with EZINNE on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, going ended. Please like and share the stream. Is one way you help our ministry so we keep serving you and serving you better and better. The topic today is Look Up. Find inspiration and motivation in Nigerian education. May I remind you that all episodes of Up You with EZINNE are now on our podcast channels and on the YouTube channels as well at Up You with EZINNE. Be sure to follow us and don't miss a thing. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Please settle in, like, share the stream, bring in as many women as you can in here to come and listen. We're all concerned parents. In one way or another, we are concerned about our education system. So please get in here and grab for yourself one or two wisdom to inspire you to take informed decisions. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Please say hello, like, and share the stream. It's time to bring up our guest into the studio. Stay with me. This is Up You with EZINNE. Finding self, finding purpose. If you're just joining us, this is Up You with EZINNE, and the topic on the banner is Look Up, Find Inspiration and Motivation in Nigerian Education. Our guest this morning is Mrs. Yinka Ogunde, CEO, EduMark Consult, and founder, Concerned Parents and Educators Initiative. Yinka Ogunde is a highly skilled marketing communications executive who has for over 2 decades focused her skill into equipping, supporting, and transforming the education sector. She obtained her bachelor's degree as well as a master's degree in mass communications from the University of Lagos. Her work life began in the field of broadcasting with stints in both NTA and the Broadcasting Corporation of Oyo State, BCOS. She later joined the top advertising agency, Promoserve Limited, as a copy concept executive. Her years in advertising sector saw her managing several brands in the FCMG and financial services sector. Her extensive work in the education sector began with the birth of EduMark over 2 decades ago. The organization has pioneered several innovative programs in the sector, some of which are the Total School Support Seminar Exhibition known as TOSE. This is perhaps the biggest education event in Africa. We are the future of our nation. International Schools and College Exhibition, College Exhibition, School Tips Magazine, entrance exam guide, and lots more. Mrs. Ogunde is also the founder of the Concerned Parents and Educators Group, CPE. The group began as an online platform and now has over 253,000 members, with state chapters in Nigeria and various parts of the world. Her welfare and philanthropy program spans across various parts of Nigeria. Yeah. Um, with initiatives such as the CPE Food Basket, scholarship schemes, and low cost school support. She's on the board of several NGOs and has received several awards of innovative programs in the education sector. Yinka Ogunde is also a seasoned leadership coach, certified by one of the most renowned leadership organizations, the Maxwell Academy. She is a mentor and a very well respected speaker at conferences and summits. She is married to Mr. Oluwemimo Ogunde, SAN. Dear everyone, world over, please join me to welcome a very special guest today on the show. He's already laughing. Good
Oh,
morning. How are you?
thank you very much, EZINNE. I'm so delighted and honored to be with you this morning. I was smiling throughout all the introductions. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. How time flies. So
You
many
know.
wonderful things to remember. But we're thankful. Thank you for inviting me.
You are most welcome. It is my pleasure and my honor and an honor to have you on the show today. I've been what was the word? I've been allowing you marinate because I knew that today will come.
I like that. Oh, yes. I mean, this is a special moment for me. And I think I particularly like the theme for this month
Mhm,
because it resonates with so many things. It
mhm,
is about looking forward, it
mhm.
is about going beyond yourself. It's about not choosing to look at the present circumstances. Because for a lot of us, if we choose to focus on the present circumstances alone, we become paralyzed. I've had the opportunity of talking to so many people at this time, and everybody seems so overwhelmed. And the only thing that we can all do is really about looking up. So I really like the topic for this month, and I hope that we will be able to add value to people as we chat today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I couldn't have asked for a better opener, because I've been thinking and using my own life as an experience. We've looked down long enough and there's nothing on the ground really. So it's time for us to leave everything that is on the ground, and then look up to find answers to move forward. And that brought me to thinking about the Nigerian education system. I was in conversation a couple of weeks ago with a prof in a university in the UK, and she says Nigerian students are being delisted. And I go like, what do you mean delisted? She said, as in being sent out of the school. And I'm like, why not like deferring? Why not giving them gap years? So they can go do something, then come back. He says, oh, Nigerian parents are unable to pay school fees. And I said, but you all know that it's a global problem. So it's not like parents brought their kids to the UK, for instance, and decided to abandon the kids there. And it got me thinking, how did we send our kids abroad to study? And we have now become a problem for them because most of the kids are now having mental um, stability issues. They're now being emotionally traumatized because circumstances that are beyond their parents are making it impossible for their fees to be paid and for them to continue studying seamlessly. And I said, you know what? The narrative out there might be bad, but it's time to look up and find an expert who will talk to us about the Nigerian education system. So that if we don't have to, then we don't have to. We can actually keep our children home, educate them without traumatizing them or having to make them drop out of school and then come back and start afresh. So that's one of the reasons why we're having this conversation today. Amongst the fact that uh, you don't own a school, you've never run one, but you are the voice of education in Nigeria. And your summits and your seminars are actually the best in Africa and the biggest. I couldn't find anybody better to have this conversation with. And so that's why we're doing this morning. You're welcome once again, ma'am.
Thank you so much, EZINNE. You've actually started from a very big point, and which should be of concern to every one of us. You've raised it from the issue that we are sending a lot of our children abroad, and we're sending them to a terrain that requires us to be able to provide them with adequate financial support. Now, this becomes complicated when we have a situation at home that a parent cannot predict anything.
Mhm.
If I am earning 20 million and I am planning on that 20 million and I want to change that 20 million, if I change it in December 2023, what I'll be getting then is almost like 75% more than what I will be getting now. It becomes
Wow.
very difficult
Yeah.
for parents to plan. And here we are sending our children there. And it doesn't, when we're sending such huge numbers abroad, it is saying something. It is speaking. It is speaking. It is saying something about the dissatisfaction of people with the system. It is speaking, it has a voice that we don't believe that the Nigerian system can offer us the best, can be the best. So many things are actually in that little opening that you did. But I don't want us to jump ahead because there's so many things to discuss. So let me just put that there so that we can always come back to it.
Okay, great. So let's start from the beginning. Yeah. Can
Oh,
you
sure.
please set the stage and then share your understanding and your perspective of the topic under review today?
Okay. You will see that it's closely connected with the education sector in
Mhm.
terms of looking up. One of the things that I want to state today, and which I believe every one of us must remember, is the fact that education makes lives better.
Mhm.
Education will give your children the right foundation to build on. Even though we are now caught in a world that some people have it as their slogan that education is a scam, education is waste of time, education is, there's so many things that we have surrounded that. But if you don't like education, try ignorance and then you will know the difference. One thing I know is that education has the capacity to change and transform lives. Maybe this comes from my own personal belief and thoughts. Because one of the things which I believe that in terms of questions, was that you were asking about what really, really is that moment where I believe that so much, where I know that education is the one that will make the difference. Let me share a little bit of my background. My mom, God bless her soul, God bless her soul, was a teacher. And yes, she was. She was left at a very young age with four children by her husband. The youngest child was just about maybe a few weeks old. And here you are a teacher. You don't have excessive income. You don't have lots of money in the bank. But the only thing that you can choose to do is to give your children good education. My mother back then decided that she will face squarely, that she will address squarely. And that was exactly what she did. And with that, she was able to produce myself, my sister as a lawyer, my brother as an engineer, my last brother as a lawyer, and everything. And you can imagine what that has done for her generation. That's taking her from that level whereby there was nothing, a woman alone with four children, with nowhere to go, with nothing, to a case of my children can compete with others in any part of the world. In fact, she was able to nurture my younger sister to the extent that she made a first class in law.
Wow.
So that is the power of education. It transforms generations. It transforms legacies. It changes the story. I don't want us to lose sight of that. It is possible to remain in ignorance and then by accident you run into wealth. But even check out those that run into wealth. They always ensure that their children get solid education. So that has sort of anchored it for me that one of the ways of transforming societies, one of the ways of transforming the lives of people, one of the ways to change the narrative is by getting good education. And it is the right of every child. Whether your parents are poor, whether they are rich, whether they are billionaires, education is the right of every child. So that is the background.
I am so taken by what you're saying that I'm actually writing it for everyone to see, for those that will come in late. Education is a right of every child. And that story you shared is powerful. We must give your mother her flowers. I'm sure that, I mean, she couldn't be prouder wherever she is right now. It doesn't matter, but she couldn't be prouder of having four solid children who can stand and contribute positively in their society and in anywhere else in the world. I particularly like what you said, that education is every child's right, irrespective of whether your parents are billionaires or not.
Absolutely.
And that's why this conversation is very critical. We must continue to harp on this until we get it right. Thank you very much.
You're
Could you
welcome.
please share one pivotal moment of experience in your journey that inspired you to decide, irrespective of the fact that you were already doing well in other things that you were doing? I'm even scared interviewing you because NTA, that's like CNN. Despite all that, you chose to pitch. What was that moment that made you decide to pitch your tent in the educational sector?
For me, my journey into the education sector is a very interesting one. And thankfully, your husband and I, and those in the industry, we all date way back in the field of advertising, in the field of public relations, trying to build great brands, trying to support our clients to become market leaders and everything. But in the midst of it, My interest has always been about what what value can I add? How can I make a difference? I remember that one of the first things that I started, even in the advertising industry back then, was a program called Stepping into the Marketing Communications Industry. And it was designed to help young ones who want to come into advertising and PR and all those things to learn how to. So for me, it has always been that. And it did not take me too long to gravitate more towards the education sector. And when I got in there, I began to see so many challenges. And one thing from a leadership perspective is that you don't ignore problems. You begin to ask yourself, what can I do to solve this in my own little way? And that has led us, let me use the word us, because it's impossible to walk alone. It has led us into so many things because Nigeria is also peculiar. As you are attempting to create a project to solve this, another one is imagine that you are saying, oh my God, where do you begin? It's like an octopus. Everything, every sector. You look at parents' problems. You look at the students. You're talking about exam malpractice. You're talking about students' reorientation. You look at the teachers. You look at the school owners. You look at the public sector. So many things around. These are the issues that really got me into the sector, got me asking that, look, how can we improve things? How can we make things better? I have discovered so many things in the course of my journey. Sometimes I have given up. Sometimes I have cried. Sometimes I've used the word impossible for Nigeria. But at every point I come back. And what do I do? I look up again. I look up again. And one is ready to face another challenge.
Thank you. I like the fact that you are actually doing a no holds bar. You're saying it exactly as you've lived it. You say, sometimes I give up. Sometimes I'm so frustrated. Sometimes I don't even know what I'm doing here. How you manage to look up and then you see a ray, no matter how tiny. It gives you hope, it gives you strength, and you renew your dedication and you go at it again. And let me just tell you nicely now that you're not stopping anytime soon. because
Oh my
we're
God.
because there's a saying that if you want to destroy a nation, you first destroy their education system.
Absolutely.
And you're in that, how do we say it? You're in that gate, you're manning that gate. And so there is no how. You're not going to get tired. We're going to keep pushing you, praying for you, because that light has to come through that gate for us to just get it right. Let me digress a bit. When I was young, in my younger days, we had people, I went to a unity school, and we had people send their children from abroad to Nigeria to come.
Hmm.
And that's what we need to do now. The numbers are staggering. I just saw some statistics. The kind of money, the kind of numbers we do in the UK and in Canada is staggering.
Billions, billions, billions.
Yes, if we can trick that and push that right back, I think that we will be in a better place. But like I said, I know you'll get there. So I'm just running ahead of myself. So I'm just coming back now to saying, okay, you did mention that sometimes you get tired, sometimes it's frustrating. Could you please share extensively some key challenges that you faced in this journey over the last 2 decades?
Oh, yes. Thanks a lot, Izini. When I saw that question, so many things came to my mind. And that's why the theme for the month also becomes relevant, like I said earlier. I am a person of faith. And as a person of faith, Not only do you look up in terms of being able to, in the physical sense alone, also in the spiritual sense, you need to look up, because it's so easy to give up hope. It's so easy to tell yourself that this cannot be done. It's so easy to say that other parts of the world can work, but
Right.
Nigeria can. I don't want to begin to tell you the number of times, alongside with people that we try to identify ourselves as reformers, we will be on the phone with each other and we will actually be crying. I remember there was a time I used the word that, look, that I never knew the meaning of heartbreak, but Nigeria has broken my heart. It's as if you can really feel your heart breaking into pieces, because you see a land with so much to offer and yet not getting things right. And education is clearly um, allied with the values and the culture of an environment. This makes it so complicated for us, that which one comes first? Reforming the education sector or reforming the Nigerian society? Because if it's just a case of, oh, we want to change our curriculum, we want to improve our teachers, we want to do this, it does not stop there. The children will leave the school and we go into homes, into communities whose values are already warped and twisted. And that's what makes Nigeria so complicated. But when do you do when you are faced with all this? What we tell ourselves, what I tell myself, is never lose hope. Clutch on to that word of hope and say, is being able to see light despite all the darkness around. And stars shine when everywhere is dark. That's when you will see the stars. Keep doing your own bit. Keep giving people hope. Keep telling them that yes, it can be done. Keep creating projects. Keep having conversations. You never know who is being touched. I know we are not talking about government here. We're not talking about our leaders. We're not talking about all those things. But it is difficult to keep them out of a conversation on education.
True.
Because when a country does not have a policy that is clearly defined in terms of its journey in education, then there are problems. If we cannot define that when a child is getting to school at age 2 or age 3 or age 4 or age 5, by the time he's leaving university at age 21 or so, this is the kind of citizen we want to produce.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is the kind of work professional that we want to produce. This is the kind of, when we don't have any of that definition in place, clearly articulated, then we are floundering. We are floundering. And it's an area I don't want to go into, because we have gone around and we have seen the huge gap between the children of the rich and the children of the poor. I'm sure you know that we do a lot of local schools visits and things, and you will get to some of those places, you are in tears. But this is where hope comes in. How do you sell it to them that the future will be better? You talk to them, you encourage them, you give them resources to at least work with the children. So the issue about Nigerian education system is still a bit so complicated. And we keep on hoping. We clutch to hope. And we say, oh, let's wipe our tears. Let's clean up our faces. Let's powder our faces and look up.
Your words are so powerful. The imagery that comes up is also very powerful and disturbing. However, we will keep looking up. You know, there's a saying that when the fish wants to spoil, it starts from the head. Um, but I think we have even passed that point, because now the fish head is spoiled, the fish middle is spoiled. We're looking at the tail, whether we can rescue the tail and then see whether we can develop another body and another head. Or so I don't even know how we're going to do it, but I think we're just holding the tail right now, because like you said, the policies are neither here nor there, not clearly defined, and then even the execution of the not properly defined policies is wobbly. The students themselves are almost very difficult to manage, because you see, it takes two to tango. It takes a lecturer to say you must buy handout or whatever, and it takes a student to pay for the handout. Exam malpractice, it takes two. So there is nobody that is remaining in this system. The whole system needs to be sanitized, and I always say that it starts from the home. What is it that we expect? That we say we're concerned mothers and citizens. What do we expect from education for our children? What kind of children do we hope to produce? So that will help us guide our children even before they get to school, so that they will not be corrupted by other elements in school. I don't know what you think about what I'm saying.
Yes, I understand what you're saying, isn't it? And I'm glad that you have raised that. Everything rises and falls on leadership.
Mm.
Leadership of the country, leadership in our homes, leadership in faith communities, leadership in business. And it takes leaders to actually chart a course and navigate things. Let's start from the example of the home that you have cited. The father, the mother. How many fathers and mothers actually sit down to chart a course for their families?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people become parents accidentally. When you even tell them, they always assume that we know how to do it. Because my father did it this way, the way my grandfather has been doing it. So the assumption gap. I assume that once I become a parent, I will know how to become a parent. I will know how to do this. And everybody tries a game of chance on the life or in the life of the kids. And thereby lies the problem. Because the society will help you to do the job. And you have no control over what the society will put into your child. And before we know it, everything has been corrupted. Unfortunately, yes, I agree with you, a lot begins with the home now. But there are major influences all around us that the home has little control over. Look at the power that the media has. Look at the power of the theater. Look at the power of our film industry. Look at the power of our music industry. Look at the power being wielded by the social media. All these things are things that a lot of parents, a lot of schools, a lot of people do not have any control over. And that's why molding the lives and the minds of young children is something that every family must say that we must engage in honest conversations with our children on this and have the right kind of engagement with them. It is no longer parenting as usual. It is no longer just believing that the way your grandfather did it, the way your own father did it, that's the way it's going to be done because the environment has changed. The values have changed. I mean, look at this program, this conversation that we're having. If you just said that, oh, if I do, do they call it twerking or any of those things? If I just go on, if I just go and do this kind of twerking, and just move my do this lah. Before you know it, before the end of the day, do you know how many, can you count the number of things, views and all those things that they look at that it will have gathered? If somebody just comes online and you're talking about personal growth, you're talking about leadership, you're talking about all those things that can build the lives of people, you are really on your own. But if I come online and just say, oh, hello, friends, yesterday when Kinika, I just look for one fabu to take. Before I know it, everything has exploded. Our children are being molded by such. So that is the complicated part for education professionals at this time. And that's why we have to be a bit more determined, a bit more focused about what we do. And for every institution, whether public or whether private, those at the helm of affairs must be aware of this thing and ensure that they create the right environment, the right cocoon, the right bubble, whereby the children that they're nurturing will be able to stand till we're ready to send them forth out into the world. So it's a bit very complicated. It calls for parents to be more intentional. And it calls for leaders who are real, who are really concerned to sit down and ask themselves the question, how can we ensure better outcomes in the lives of our children? Not only in terms of education, but in terms of who they are. Because we're talking about hardcore education here. We've not gone into drugs. We've not gone into several other things that our children are seeing every day. So, I don't know. I hope that answers that. This is something I'm so passionate about, and I can go on and on and on and on.
It clearly is coming across that way. Your passion about what you do, about education, cannot even be doubted. It's just coming with every sound and gesture that you make. It's almost as if you were part of our meeting a couple of weeks ago when I'm up here with EZINNE gang. They were like, we need to run with trending issues. For us, we need to blow up this platform and run with trending issues. You need to invite a couple of influencers. And I'm like, no, I won't do it. I know exactly what to do to have 1 million views. I know. I just need to invite a certain kind of person and have a certain kind of discussion. However, how does that instill in the people the right mindset that we want to instill? What we're trying to do is pour in good water into an already messed up system, and it will take a long time, but we'll keep pouring. Now we might be pouring with a cup. Tomorrow we can get to a bottle size. One day we'll buy the tanker. Before you know it, one day we'll become the water board. And it means that everybody on the stream, everybody who is watching now, everybody who's going to watch later, is a part of this crusade, because that's what I say it is. It's a crusade. We didn't get here overnight, and we will not also get to where we desire to go to overnight. Yinka, you've been on this journey for over 20 years, and you can see you're just getting traction. So you can imagine, and we still have much, much further to go. So we are definitely not giving up. What we need to do, I think, is if every single one of us who believes that something can happen gets on social media and begins to write in the positive and begin to articulate these beliefs that we have, these hopes that we have, and way forward, actionable way forward, it will catch on one day and then the narrative will start changing. It changed overnight. It didn't change overnight. It changed after a lot of exposure to the wrong things. So we have to now decide to expose the minds again to the right things. And hopefully one day it will catch on, So, yeah, I feel your pain. I feel the burden.
Let me share a story with you on that before I
Mm,
forget, isn't it? I run this program called the Total School Support Seminar and Exhibition. We are
so say.
actually preparing for the 16th edition.
Mhm.
That is where I learned even about the power of one. When I read some of the testimonies from people who attend this program, it leaves me amazed. Let me share one with you.
Yes,
The
please go ahead.
lady attended about 8 years ago. Her name is Bumi, or is it 8 or 9 years ago? That was the first time she attended Tosin. And she said she was so blown away by everything she saw, by everything she learned, by what the speakers were telling them. And she was like, man, that means I can be better. That means I can do more. That means I can be much more than just a teacher. She said that attendance changed everything for her. She got back to her school. She was so excited. She started this, she started that. She was sharing this on the day she got her PhD, honestly. And she attributed everything to a TOSE attendance. She had attributed the beginning of our mentoring program to a TOSE attendance. Now she's a formidable person in the Montessori way of teaching, which she has chosen to specialize in. She's a well sought out speaker. She's doing so much. I mean, she's a regular speaker at TOSE now. And don't forget, at that time, that was midway into TOSE years. It was a year I was about to say, I'm done. I've given up. This thing, no profit. I just walk and walk. I just do this and do this. Everybody will come. No, that was the time that lives were being changed, and I never knew. People were being touched. People who are now making a difference, not only in Lagos State, but in other states of the federation, and they're attributing it to TOSE. When I read some of those things, I just go, wow, 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 wow. Thank God I did not give up hope. Thank God I did not say I'm done. So maybe that sort of adds up to the story of up you with EZINNE, that not giving up, choosing to do the right thing, remaining consistent. You are not concerned about the numbers. It's the quality.
Yes,
But
because
it's
we're
still,
yes,
yeah.
yes. Someone says bravo to you. The power of one. Never give up. You see? So we will keep at this advocacy. We'll keep having these talks. We'll keep having these conversations. And then one day we will get it. Even from this stream today, someone is going to get it. And someone will go out and demand better and do better. It's important that we become intentional, like you said, about parenting. There was something you said and I was like, whoa. You said most people become accidental parents, and I'm like, whoa. Oh my god, we don't want to go there. I don't.
Please
But I'm
don't.
going,
Don't.
I'm going so, but accidental or not, we need to become intentional, because honestly, I do not think it's proper for you to bring a life into this earth and then not nurture that life in any way, manner, and form that you can, to make it productive, meaningful, and be able to contribute to the society, you know. So yeah, moving on, Yinka, please motivate me in particular now, by telling me how you stay looking fresh, how you stay inspired, how you just keep up with the daily demands of EduMark, CPE, and the General Education Initiative, because I know you're having conversations here and there. How do you do this? Because the small that I'm doing, I'm already.
Oh my. Oh, that's an interesting question, isn't it? And I begin to ask myself, really, how do I keep up? That's the reason why one must strive to discover where you really have a good fit in it.
Hmm.
One must try to discover that I want to be where the Lord has prepared for me. That is so important on the journey. Otherwise, you will give up. Otherwise, you will become tired. Because sometimes when I look at Instagram and I look at those young girls, fantastic, beautiful ladies, the way they will use their product to dance and dance, and before, the way they will say, they're operating in seven figures. They're operating in nine figures. I will say, hey, where are my own figures? So I'm still trying to balance the figures. I'm so thankful that at least I pay salary this month. I haven't done. But here they're talking about figures. But you will just ask yourself again with a more matured sense of thought that is this really what I will love to do? Is this really what God wants me to do? Because when you get into that space, that is what is going to uphold you at the dark moment. And one of the things that I've discovered is that if you're operating in your zone of giftedness, you will be extremely creative. That
Hmm.
is because now, isn't it, if you get to a room, isn't it? Immediately there's so many things that will come to your mind on how to make that room look beautiful. I may be looking at the same room and I'm saying that, "Ah, why is this room looking at like this?" But isn't it comes in there because she's gifted in that area. By the time she puts one thing here, put one table here, put one thing, the whole place is wow, 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 wow. That's giftedness. How are you gifted? Take time to find your zone of giftedness. Because where others see problems, you see possibilities. You are able to rise up in that area and say, okay, let's create a solution. What gets us into all those things that we do on CP and even in my organization is because we want to solve problems. Others are seeing it as problems. We are seeing it as opportunity to be
Opportunities.
able to do the right thing, to be able to make a difference, to be able to make a change. Look at the little thing that we did. That that we're a bit involved with the Adinion community. And when we saw that, so a lot of all these old people, they're just sleeping on either a mat or with no mattress on the floor. And I'm picturing that, look, even right now, to stand up from the floor for any one of them is a huge
Challenge.
challenge. Is a huge challenge. Talk less of a woman that is 81. How will she be able to rise up quickly enough to go to the loo or to do her basic things?
Mm.
Give them at least a bed that is about 3.5 feet that will ensure, or 3 feet, a normal bed that will
Yeah.
ensure
I'll
them
raise them up a bit from the floor.
absolutely. And when we started it like a joke, now we've been able to provide them with mattress, with a pillow, with the bed sheet, with things, and they are so excited. 81-year old, 83-year-old, and all that. We did not ignore the problem. We saw the picture. We tried to imagine what they could be going through. We tried to imagine that how will an 80-year-old feel being in this? What can we do to solve it? So people with that mindset, they don't ignore the problem because it's in the area of giftedness. And they just see it even beyond what others will see. So I think that's that's one thing that just keeps one going and excited about daily life. I'm not saying it's easy. Oh. There are days you will wake up and you just say, you know what? Not be me be the ruler of Nigeria. Oh, but you keep on going because you want to put a smile on the faces of people.
Okay, thank you. Very quickly before I continue, let me digress. If there is somebody on the stream who can give us a contact address or number or where to drop us stuff for this initiative that she talked about, please do so now. There might be one or two persons here who would want to adopt a grandma or a grandpa and make life a little easy for them. So every platform, every opportunity, we say what we're doing, you never can tell, you will find someone who will align with that goal and that vision. So thank you very much for what you do, honestly. We can't even say it all. This one you said now is even out of the education. This one is philanthropy and humanitarian. I know that when we start talking about the education, that people you pay school fees for, people you give food to, so that they can even have something in their tummy and be able to go to school and lots more. Provision of school uniforms and books and everything, so there's so much to be done. So everybody, there's something for you to do, you know a couple of years ago, my husband and myself started something where we were equipping libraries with books in our home state because we visited a couple of schools and they didn't even have books. And then you say, what do you want to be? Civil servant. What do you want to be? Civil servant. What do you And so we're thinking, how on earth is everybody going to be a civil servant? But the narrative is that's where what they know. Back then in Akwa Ibom State, all of the only thing that was happening was civil service. You had to be a civil servant to be seeing some money or some political goodwill or something. So you ask the children, what do you want to be when you grow up? Civil servant. I want to work for the government. I want to work. And we said, no, this is just unacceptable. And we took to buying books to put in the to actually create libraries, buy books, go there so that children can actually take these books and read these books and then change their minds. 3 years into that, we started hearing, I want to be an engineer,
Awesome.
be a doctor. I mean, I'm not saying that this is what you need to be, but mindset was already beginning to change. So everybody can find a pain point, or a where it resonates with you, where you think your talent lies in. I used to create time to go teach the students. Once in a while, I'll create time, take a weekend, go home and teach, actually teach English language, teach. So we can all do this for ourselves while the government is trying to sort out itself. Because the truth is, all of us, whether you educated your child abroad or you educated your child in Nigeria, all of us will operate in this ecosystem. And we do not know how the mix will mix. So it is better that we all throw in what we can into the mix so that what comes out of the pool, it's something really good. Okay, so now we've talked about you, and you've told us that you're a woman of faith, and uh, plus the community that you have, 253,000 strong, plus everything that you've done, all keeps you encouraged. But you see, the teacher out there doesn't have this support that you have, doesn't have this community. The school owner out there is grappling with this and that, and is already discouraged. What advice would you give to them, the educators, Even the parents that are feeling overwhelmed, every day school fees is being increased, and we cannot even see the new thing you're doing. It's still the same old thing you're teaching. And they say that the people making money now is the influencers, and you're still telling me I should put my child to go and read chemistry or read whatever. That person that is doing the seven figures, like you mentioned, what did they study? So everybody is feeling some kind of burnout, some kind of frustration. What advice do you have for them so that they keep supporting students and keep supporting education development in Nigeria?
Oh, thank you. That's a loaded question because it boils down to how do you give hope when everything appears hopeless?
True.
Even as you are saying it, you are asking yourself the question, do I really believe what I'm saying? Or am I just doing it to make them feel good? I believe that it's a time for us to be vulnerable with each other.
Mm,
It's a
mm,
time to tell education professionals and parents that, yes, it may be challenging, but there are things that will always stand despite what is going on around us. A lot of things, even in the lives of the influencers and all those that we are looking at, they're just emerging. We do not know exactly how it will play out. We do not know exactly whether they can sustain it or whether they themselves are managing emotional traumas, which we do not know. So, this brings me to how do you ensure that you let our children and everyone know the values that are unchanging,
mhm.
the values that that will be sustainable through life: integrity, compassion, love, care, and so many of all those that if at any time any of these values that we're talking about is compromised, it will come back to haunt you. So, an influencer that goes online and destroys the reputation of another person, all because we want to trend, we want to
Mm.
go viral, we want to do this. That compromise in integrity, it may take a while, but it can still haunt you. So, if we're able to give ourselves this kind of balance, we will be able to build things up to where people feel they can cope. Because transformation is not going to happen overnight.
Yeah.
You are not going to get money for everything that you need overnight, but you can develop yourself in a way that will ensure that your resilience is developed. You know, when you are resilient, it will give you that peace of mind, knowing that I can get through this. I can get through this. I can get through this. Because when you have that, it's easier to identify opportunities. I still believe that despite all the challenges around, there are tremendous opportunities. They imagine in every field, and an educated eye can see those opportunities. Because
True.
when you don't know, when you go about in blissful ignorance, and your mind is not trained enough to be able to identify all this, you won't know how to seize them. Look at the opportunities in the food industry now,
Mm-hmm.
the catering industry. Look at how it has exploded. Women who are working, they're looking for people who can cook for them for a little while. A lot of people, what they do, they order soup, they order banga, they order this, they order that. It has opened up a source of income for people. Look at the areas where you can generate additional source of income that your family needs to be able to navigate this time. Whether you're a school owner, whether you're a teacher. But this conversation becomes even very interesting because here we are as parents. We will expect devotion from teachers. We will expect commitment from them. We will expect them to focus on giving our children the best, but they're poorly paid. So how do they strike the balance? Some of them are stretched beyond limits. And that's the reason why government must still sit down to address some of those core issues. I hope I'm making a bit of sense. I'm just trying to tie it together to be able to tell you that we are living through very complicated times and nobody appears to have the solution. And when there's no solution coming from the external, it behoves on you to internally, in you, create solutions through your resilience. If you are not strong enough internally at this time, I can assure you, even the strongest are having mental breakdowns. Even there's something that we now call encouraging the encourager. Even the even the encourager.
I know, right?
So that is the reality of the world that we are in today. But one thing I also know is not just about Nigeria. It's all over the world. So it boils down to the fact that who you are on the inside is what is going to see you through. Because on the inside, if you have the capacity to look up, then you can navigate. But if you continue to look down, if you continue to look at issues past, if you continue to lament, if you continue to talk about what has gone, if you continue to talk about your life before all this crisis, you may find it
Mm.
to look up. I hope that makes sense.
Eh? Are you asking? Me, I'm
Oh,
already doing. Because I mean, that is the summation. We're living in very, very unpredictable times. There is no one person alive today who can say this is exactly what is going to happen tomorrow.
no.
Nobody. And so every single person is struggling in one area or the other. So it's not a time for pepper them gang. It's not a time for what's it? It's not a time for it's rather a time for collaboration. It's rather a time for how are you doing it? Share with us. It's rather yes, like you said, it's a time to be vulnerable with one another because it might not be pinching me in finding fees for my children abroad, but it may be pinching me in putting food on the table. It may be pinching me. Look, the most watched episode of Up with EZINNE is the one on mental wellness. It's the one on mental wellness. It's got over 10.4 views when I checked last week. I don't know what it will be this week. And we did that like last year. And everyone is still going to watch it. It therefore means that everyone is having one kind of mental maladjustment or the other. The times are hard. And this is where I'm going to ask you to speak specifically about this issue that we have right now with the kids abroad, with us not being able from Nigeria, for instance, to find the money to pay their fees because some of these kids are already freaking out. And parents were not having conversations with our children. Ultimately, what we should do, if you ask me at every point in time, is what's best for our children. Can I have your thoughts on this as we
Thank
close
you.
out
Uh,
on this
Thank you very
conversation?
much. At the moment, I am in the UK. And as I am seated here, it's almost like everything you need to do, everything that you are doing is all about money. It's all about you have to pay this, the transport costs money, the electricity costs money. Everything around you is based on your ability to have resources to pay it. And when you now put that on a child, you need that child to be very, very strong in order to deal with things. And some of them are even coming into the UK. They have not successfully managed their allowance in Nigeria. And then we put them on an allowance in the UK. Before they know it, there's the major problem of the money is finished. And when the money is finished, what do? They cry home again. And the parents at home are struggling. So we have a lot of these things. I will always advise that before you send them abroad to study, please count the cost. Ensure that the family is ready for it. Ensure that it is something that you have the capacity to do. Mm. Okay, I think the line went off.
No, no, go ahead. I'm here. I was saying I'm here, but you couldn't hear me.
Oh, yes,
Continue.
I couldn't hear you. Yes, the
Yeah.
point I'm making is that before you send them to the UK, to the US, or the Canada, or anywhere you want to send them to, you must prepare ahead. You must prepare them mentally. You must prepare them to understand money, to understand how to actually plan their finance, because everything here is planned. So you must teach them money management, financial prudence, and so many other things. But that notwithstanding, how do we get it right in Nigeria so that we are not sending these huge numbers? Our educational institutions must be supported. There is such a gap between the private education and the public education system. How do we bridge the gap? It needs everyone to collaborate. It needs the government to actually work alongside the private sector to make this possible, so that we don't see ourselves as being as competitors, but we see ourselves as people who are ready to collaborate. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very, very, very much for that. Thank you so much. Honestly, you've said so much that anybody who is listening, who can sit down, pause, and read in between the lines and give it a great deal of thought, will pick between the lines of all that you've said and run with life. Education, like I said in the beginning, is not all about facts. there are all kinds of education. And we must begin intentionally to ensure that we are giving the right kind of education to ensure that our children also are build up resilience on the inside and will be able to withstand the push out and push in the life throws our way. Yeah. So thank you very much. Let me now ask you to please tell us what initiatives or projects are you currently working on that you are particularly excited about that you want to share with us?
Okay, thanks, EZINNE. I think that one of the major things that we have coming up is the 16th edition of the Total School Support Seminar and Exhibition, TOSE, which is coming up in June. That is always exciting for us because it takes a while to plan it, and it brings together thousands of education professionals from various parts of the country. And not only that, we have a lot of exhibitors coming in from Nigeria, outside Nigeria. So it's a huge learning platform. We have that coming up. And of course, we have a lot of programs on CPE also. We're having a parenting forum coming up very soon. And we just finished Inspire to Teach, and we're planning another one, which is principally for teachers. What we have tried to do is to identify various segments within the education community, especially in CPE. We have the one for parents, we have students reorientation programs, we have the one for school owners, we have Inspire to Teach for teachers, and we ask ourselves the question, how can we add value to these people? So quite a number of initiatives are on. We won't give up, like we said. We've been doing it and we will continue to do our best.
Thank you, ma'am. If anybody was in doubt of your passion, my question was, can you tell us one? And then look at all that she reeled out, and she doesn't have any notes or anything. So that's just to tell you how invested she is in ensuring that we actually get inspired and motivated by our educational system. So thank you very much. We will appreciate someone to enumerate all of this in the comments so that many of us will be able to attend and then get learnings for ourselves.
EZINNE,
yes, please.
On the last note, I know we are closing now, but I want to say this and encourage every one of us that this is a sector that there is so much to do. Even if you go to your own village, you will be amazed to see that there is a lot you can do. There are some schools in the villages that the children cannot read. I just got a chat from a lady who is in one village. I think I've forgotten the state, or I don't want to mention the state. And all the young girl is asking me is that even in secondary school, some of the students cannot read. And she wants to start a reading class for them. That helping them to even be able to read. That shows that even in a village school, without money, you can still do something. So please go around. There's so many things to do. Don't just believe that, it's only those that have money that can give something back. That is not the case with the education sector. Even going back to school to talk to students alone and share your experience and share your journey and share what you have had to navigate to be where you are today is enough. Talk less of having resources to buy school bags or school uniforms or provide them with meals. Do you know that there's some schools that even if you choose that every morning I will give them 10 pieces of bread for a month, it can make the difference in the lives of some children. because they're sent to school without it. So don't just say that it's none of my business. I believe it's the business of every one of us. So let's get involved at various levels. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you very, very much. Thank you. That is just the best way to close. That so many of us, we are quite a number. And if we're concerned, like we say we are concerned, then we need to put our mouth, put action where our mouth is. It's not just enough to say we are concerned. It's now time to back it up with action. And she's
Absolutely.
made it quite simple. You can read it to a child. You can buy a book for a child. If you checked in your homes, there are books that your children have used and they've grown and they've left the home and they're adults, but you still have those books. What are they doing in your home? You want to keep sick, keep one, give the rest out. I mean, there's a lot that we can do if you decide to do. It's not all the time that we have to wait for government to change things. After all, in the beginning, missionaries came here and did the church and did the schools. They were missionary schools. So we can actually have schools made by human beings where we make a change. And I'm going to try this. You walk to a school and ask them, can I come donate 1 hour of my time? I'm sure they will employ you. And then you teach for free 1 hour of your time, any school of your choice, one next to you. Because you just don't know. You don't know who you're nurturing. You don't know what the person can do. You might be nurturing that president that is going to come in future and bring the Nigeria that you've been praying about. But if you don't do anything about it, that president will stay in that school, malnourished, underfed, not exposed, and all of that. So we have to carry the arms now and do the work ourselves. Every single one of us on this stream has data. And with your data, what are you posting? Can you post something about education today? Encouraging education, good education in Nigeria. Anything that you want, just say something, and that's how it will start. And that's how it will gain momentum. And that's how we're all going to become even prouder and more inspired and invested in making sure that our educational system works. Thank you so much, Yinka, for gracing our show with your presence today. Like I said in the beginning, I was going to learn a lot. And I did learn a lot. You really taught me a lot of stuff today. And you've changed my perspective on so many other things. And I'm sure it's the same for everybody here. Because the comments allude to that, So thank you. Thank you for taking some time to be with us. God bless you and you keep inspiring.
Thank you.
Dear OPU woman, as we conclude our journey through Nigerian education today, one thing becomes very clear. The pursuit of knowledge knows no bounds. So let us continue to look up, seek inspiration, and dare to dream of a brighter tomorrow. It is possible. It is doable. It depends on you and I. Taking our eyes off the challenges, drumming the challenges, broadening the challenges, thinking of the challenges. Let's look up and we'll find solutions. This is where we wrap today's edition of Up You with EZINNE. It's been another amazing one. Please follow us on all our social media platforms at Up You with EZINNE and put on your notifications. Get copies of our books and don't forget to be a part of our amazing community. Let's continue the conversations. Do also follow our guests on all our platforms so that you can get up-to-date information on education and all the seminars and every activity that she's doing. I understand that the TOSE conference is coming up in June. So as many as can, please let's sign up, let's go there, let's support. That is our own way of making sure that the education system is getting all the support that it requires. Yeah. So big up to everyone that is involved in creating this magic every week, starting with you, our dear listeners, our guests, the amazing OPU team. Thank you, everyone. Keep inspiring, keep motivating, keep doing right. Don't worry about what the next person is doing. You just keep doing it. And one day we will see that which we desire. which is what? Better education system, a better country. And with all this, we can achieve if we keep looking up. Until I come your way next week, it is up you. All the way from Yinka as well is up you. Bye-bye now, everyone.
Bye.
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 Thank you.
Bye.